He was one of the brightest stars in 1970s pop music, with a string of chart-topping hits that captivated millions. But behind the scenes, Andy Gibb was locked in a struggle between musical genius and personal demons that would cut his life tragically short. Now, decades after his passing, his daughter, Peta Weber, is stepping out of the shadows to share her intimate perspective on the brilliant yet troubled singer. Join us as we uncover a story of love, loss, and the enduring power of music. The early years of Peta Gibb. The late 1970s was a time of musical revolution. Amidst this backdrop, a new star was born, Peta Gibb, daughter of the renowned pop sensation Andy Gibb and his wife Kim Reeder. Peta's entry into the world in 1978 was a juxtaposition of joy and turmoil. While her birth brought immense happiness, it also coincided with a challenging period in her parents' lives. The strains of Andy's escalating drug abuse and the pressures of fame were taking a toll on their marriage. The culmination of these issues led Kim to make a heart-wrenching decision: to divorce Andy and return to her roots in Australia. This move, while crucial for Kim's well-being, had profound implications for young Peta. She was geographically and emotionally distanced from her father, a rising star whose voice serenaded millions. Growing up in the serene landscapes of Australia, far from the paparazzi's flash and the frenzy of the music world, Peta's life was a stark contrast to Andy's. Kim, ever the protective mother, ensured that her daughter was insulated from the complexities and challenges associated with Andy's fame. But the bond between a father and daughter is profound and enduring. Andy and Peta found solace in their phone calls. They weren't conversations of a global pop icon and a fan, but intimate, heartfelt exchanges between a father and his girl. As the years rolled on, Peta's understanding of her father's world began to evolve. The innocent child who once saw her father as just a loving voice over the phone started to grasp the magnitude of the Gibb legacy. She began to piece together the mosaic of her father's life, understanding his triumphs, challenges, and his choices. But in her formative years, she was a child first, a child yearning for the warmth of her father's embrace. The tragic news. The day the news broke remains etched in Peta's mind with agonizing clarity. A heavy pall descended over the Gibb household, pierced only by hushed voices and muffled sobs. Televisions and radios blared the devastating announcement. Pop sensation Andy Gibb was dead at 30 years old. For young Peta, the news landed like a sledgehammer. The father she knew through treasured songs, stories, and distant calls was suddenly no more. The comforting voice that had sung her lullabies was forever silenced. She struggled to comprehend this profound loss. The reported circumstances of Andy's passing, heart failure exacerbated by years of drug abuse, added layers of turmoil to Peta's grief. She agonized over why Andy succumbed to such vices, despite having so much to live for. Sleepless nights followed, Peta's gaze fixed upon the stars, as if pleading for answers. But amidst overwhelming sorrow emerged Peta's quiet strength, inherited from both parents. She was determined to honor Andy by celebrating the legacy he left behind, timeless songs infused with his spirit. Finding her father in his music. Peta Gibb's childhood was marked by a profound void. She was left to traverse her coming-of-age years without her father's strong hand guiding her. Her adolescent stories were steeped in yearning for the paternal bond never fully realized. She spent countless nights staring wistfully up at the dark canvas of stars, wondering if somewhere her father was gazing at that same celestial sphere, thinking of her. She pored over his lyrical catalog, probing his poems for hidden meanings and messages she hoped would magically stitch their broken bond. From a tender age, she was surrounded by the echoes of her dad's legacy. The melodies of the Bee Gees wafted through her home, and Andy's solo hits became lullabies that put her to sleep. Peta felt an innate pull towards music, as if the very DNA that connected her to Andy also imbued her with a passion for melodies and harmonies. As she grew, the connection deepened. She wanted to create, express, and continue the legacy her father had begun. She began to sing, her voice carrying the same haunting beauty that Andy's did. But it wasn't an imitation, it was a tribute, a daughter's homage to a father she revered. Her involvement in the Gibb Collective was a pivotal moment. Collaborating with her cousins, Peta celebrated the Gibb family's musical genius, blending old with new. But perhaps the most touching aspect of Peta's connection to music was the solace it provided. In moments of solitude, when the weight of Andy's absence became too much to bear, it was music that offered her comfort. Her perspective on her father's legacy. To the adoring public, Andy Gibb was an icon, a soulful voice that rocketed to stardom and defined an era. But for Peta, her father's legacy was far more layered and nuanced. She searched to truly know the man she called Dad. Joy mixed with sorrow, pride collided with pain. Undeniably, she felt immense pride in Andy's prodigious musical gifts. His hit songs and awards were testament to talent that she could claim a piece of as his daughter. But pride was also tinged by wistfulness, knowing she was robbed of witnessing her father's triumphs in person amidst the roaring crowds. Peta also came to know Andy through the lens of his inner struggles. She pored over his journey with empathy and introspection. But within her father's painful path, Peta found wisdom. She gained poignant lessons about the fleeting nature of life, the value of cherishing each moment, and the resilience of the human spirit when strengthened by love. In the end, Peta's perspective on her father's enduring legacy was a nuanced harmony, weaving together grief and gratitude, wisdom and wonder. Life beyond the shadow. For Peta Gibb, living in the shadow of fame was both a refuge and reckoning. As Andy Gibb's daughter, her childhood played out behind the curtain of her father's stardom. His towering legacy followed her every step, with whispers of Andy Gibb's daughter swirling around. Yet as Peta moved towards adulthood, she was determined to step into the spotlight on her own terms. She embarked on a journey of self-discovery, acknowledging her roots while refusing to be defined solely as someone's daughter. She cultivated her own interests and talents outside the glare of her father's celebrity. In an ironic twist, her quest to escape Andy's shadow led her back to his gifts, but this time she embraced them with a fresh perspective, inspired by his passion while remaining devoted to her unique voice. She realized she could honor her father without losing herself. Education became her first escape. She pursued degrees in journalism and education, showcasing a mind that was as sharp as her vocal cords. Her classrooms weren't just spaces of learning, they were arenas where she could be Peta, the student, the thinker, the individual, and not just Andy Gibb's daughter. She found love with Peta Weber, and together they built a life filled with shared dreams and melodies of their own. The birth of their sons, Darby and Finn, added new rhythms to her life. Music, however, remained her tether to Andy. While she ventured into teaching, the call of melodies was hard to resist. Peta began performing not just as a tribute to her father, but as an expression of her own passion. Her voice, reminiscent of Andy's but distinct in its own essence, captivated audiences. Yet perhaps the most defining aspect of Peta's journey beyond the shadow was her internal transformation. She learned to embrace her legacy without letting it overshadow her individuality. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite memory of Andy Gibb? Let us know in the comments section below.